Yeah, yeah. Ah, ah. Welcome to the Merry Podcast, where we research how to be merry when we're feeling high, and more importantly, when we're feeling low. We are brought to you by Nobody Yet. That's all good. Today I will be talking about why 2020 was the best year of my life. Hear me out. As well as sports nutrition during cardiovascular activity, particularly how critical it is to drink salt. Yes, salt is good. You heard it here, folks. Definitely not first. It's widely accepted in the exercise science community. In the nursing community, 0.9% saline solution is used as a isotonic beverage to bring people up when they're feeling dehydrated. So, I mean, it's not rocket science here, it's exercise science. So, let's get into it. We will also be talking about the 4 motivations for service. All right, so gear in, gear in. So, yeah, what I mean when I say 2020 was the best year of my life, is that 2020 was definitely the top 5 years of my life. I've only lived 25 years, so I don't really have too much experience, but I will say that 2020 was sick, despite the pandemic, despite all that action going around. I do have one grandparent. I did not get to see him last year. I did not get to see my brother, who was hoping to have a kid, etc., etc. What I will say is that I did have a great year, and I will break it down month by month. So January, it gets better every month, right? January, I start maybe $100 in my pocket. I'm a poor grad student. We're talking poor. Like, I drive my mom's Prius, one state south, to work Monday through Thursday. Then I drive back up to train with my friends Thursday through Friday, Thursday through Sunday, something like that. Anyways, I do this maybe 8 weeks, but I don't get paid until February. So I barely have $100 in my pocket. I'm living off of a meal plan, gas money from my parents. Like, it was grim. Grim. Meanwhile, I applied for a job at the university to work at a call center. I love to talk to people. I love to serve people. So this is something that I feel like I would have strived at. I call them maybe 6 weeks later in February, right? And they said, "Oh, you didn't get the notification yet? We would like to offer you the job. You can get paid $13.75 working at a call center, taking calls for Jerry, who was the president at the time, Jerry, all day." And I was like, yes, sign me up. That's the most money I've ever made in my life. That's more than what I made working at a factory producing onion rings. So I was more than stoked. And then February 17th comes around, and I got paid for a month's of work, and I got a student loan check, so I'm able to pay rent, which is very nice. I love being able to pay for a place I stay at half the week, and so I just keep grinding. I should mention at this point that I'm recovering from IT band surgery, so I haven't ran a 5K in 3 months. I broke my IT band running a 10-miler in Waco, Texas in December. So visiting a PhD school that I didn't get accepted to. But we'll get into that later. Don't worry. All right, so March hits, and I get to run my first elite development race in Claremont, Florida. This is a triathlon for developing pro athletes, and it's awesome because the kicker is the first 3 places get a professional card, so they become a professional triathlete. And the first day goes, and I swim great. I'm ahead of even some pros because the water's so choppy, and I've been swimming a while, but I'm not great, but I can just swim I have a lot of heart, I guess. And so, anyways, I'm out on the bike and I catch this draft off of this guy, and we get into the zone. We get into the zone. He's still my friend on Instagram. He actually subscribed the other day to this channel, so shout out to that guy. Yeah, I have to have him on sometime. But anyways, I didn't make it. I got lapped out in the fifth lap after I thought I was going to make it. But the kicker is, I made it to the fifth lap, so I started to cruise. Don't cruise on the fifth lap because you can still get lapped out if the running course is the same, and the running course was the same. So I get lapped out of that race. I have to walk my sad butt back to the starting line, and it's game over for old Grantford. And so, I said, oh, well, better luck tomorrow because you get 2 tries out this weekend. And yeah, I finish, but then something great happened. My friend Mark, who I started a podcast with and rode a long ride every Sunday with, got his elite development card. He got his pro card in 2020. And so I was just overjoyed. I didn't care. Like, from that point, I didn't care about my results from the day. I cared about his results because he was my teammate. He's my friend. And he got the opportunity to go pro if he took it. So I was just overjoyed for Mark Fairley, who won 2020's elite development race. And so that was pretty great. And then the next day, day 2. I suck at the swim. I'm like the last out of the water. I'm like, okay, the lead pack went through the first lap. I'm done. I'm good. It's game over. But one of the volunteers was like, you're not done. The lead pack hasn't come through yet. You're fine. So I make it 1 lap, and then I go for the second lap, and I can't find anyone to draft off of, and that's bad news. And then I see the lead pack coming up at the roundabout, so I start sprinting as hard as I can. And I was like, okay, maybe it's my pride, my ego, my foolish ways, to quote Bruno Mars, that caused me to get in a crash. I was taking a turn going maybe 25 miles per hour. I hit this fence, shook on my bike, fell over. I ate it. And I was out maybe 30 seconds before I heard like a voice in my head, a thought, a conscious, like, hey Grant, you gotta get up. So I stood up. And as I was standing up, the lead pack whizzed by me. And they were like, you gotta get out of the road! You're gonna cause an accident! Ah, da, 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 da. You suck! Or something. Maybe they didn't say you suck, but anyways, I walk over to the medical tent, and this guy's like, oh, you gotta keep care of your wounds. I'm like, listen, dude, like, I've been scratched before. How's my head? Right? Right? Concussions, I didn't feel my ribs. I didn't feel anything critical. But concussions are a B word. Like, so after we got off of that, we were on the bus. It was an 11-hour trip back from Florida to Virginia. And I was feeling it. I was feeling woozy. It's feeling a little, da-da-da. But it's cool. It's fine. I didn't want to make a big deal about it. But, yeah, like, I threw up in the back of the bus. And, like, it was some bile. Like, not to get graphic with you, but when you throw up yellow, it's probably a bad sign. It's either you're dehydrated or worse, right? Dehydrated or worse. Let's leave it at that. And so I was basically really, really messed up for 11 hours. And we get back, it's 1 o'clock. I'm like, okay, I got work in the morning. I got to get to bed. I go to bed, wake up 8 a.m., go into work. I just start the call center job because this is March. And then I'm staring at the screen, learning how to work this call center job. I'm like half in of it, half out of it. Like, words are just coming into my brain and leaving. I'm getting like weird headache symptoms. And then at noon, I go to the Liberty's AT department. Shout out to the AT department. They do wonderful work with Recovery Mondays. And I definitely recommend, if you're a club sport athlete or an athlete, seeing an AT. I went to them and they said, yeah, man, you're pretty messed up. Like, you can have a pass for a week, work for a week. Like, you should not stare at screens. You should you should relax. You need to relax. And so that's what I did. And at the time, I was reading this book on why you shouldn't eat wheat. There are a million reasons. A doctor made a 400-page book on why you should not eat wheat called Wheat Belly. I don't know what I'm doing with my hands right now, but that's fine. Okay. So I stopped eating wheat. I started sleeping more, and then this job paid more. So most of my paycheck was going to food. I was getting $13 Blaze pizzas. I was getting $7.50 salads at Crisp every day, and that's March. That's March pretty much. Then the pandemic broke out, right? Pandemic. Ooh, ugly word, right? So I couldn't go to church, and that's May. Then May 31st, church opened up. I was going back to church. I was feeling it. I was getting my groove on the job. I didn't get fired despite my concussion. It was just great. May was good. And then May 25th, I actually started dating a girl that I really, really liked. My friend convinced me to make it official. I was nervous, but I was like, okay, I'll do it. Like, I think you're right. Like, I do like this girl a lot. We are going to California together. So we date for about a month, and we go to California in June. I get to see La Jolla. I get to see, like, all these famous beaches I've heard about. I get to see it was just beautiful. I get to see Santa Monica, Venice, all the San Diego beaches, Carlsbad. We stayed in Encinitas. It was lovely. And I fell in love with that girl that weekend. And, I was dating her. I was thinking about her for 6 months. And she's the type of girl that you would settle down for and get an okay job for. Like, I would work in the call center so she could have free tuition if that was in the plan. But God has different plans. She broke up with me, and that was June. And in July, I started talking to a new girl, and she was great. Also broke up with me. August, lost my job at the call center. Got a job the same day. The same day, I kid you not, as a zipline guide in California. So I'm like, okay, that's a sign. But I still didn't, trust God. But at the same time, I was like, all right, God or the universe, if you don't believe in God, send me a sign, like, make it clear that I met 3 people in a row, 3 days, 4 people who said, go for it. And so I go for it. I'm working at this call center. So I moved to California. I'm working at this Alliance Redwoods, which is just this beautiful camp in Northern California. I'm a zipline guide, and I start working in the kitchen. And, it's just a great place to be. But something was missing in my heart. I longed to be a teacher, a professor, Meanwhile, oh yeah, I didn't get into Baylor, so I'm not going there yet. But, yeah, so I didn't get into Baylor, and I'm just like, I can do this. Like, I'll find something else to do while this pandemic is on high alert. And, yeah, so I'm working at this Alliance Redwoods for 2 months. Then October came, and I'm like, all right, my roommate, he taught in Taiwan for 6 years. God put this on my heart for a reason. The universe wants me to teach for a reason. So I use my Teach English as a certification, Teach English as a foreign language certification, and that I had in my back pocket. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to Korea. Move back in with my parents, get close with them again, and just, spend the last 2 months with my parents, getting my paperwork together, and spending it with my folks. They're not at risk. My dad, he's still pushing 3 plates. I went for a walk every day with my mom, so they don't care too much about the pandemic. They'll still wear masks. They still keep it safe and everything, but not to don't want to throw them under the bus, but at the same time, they're very tough and very healthy. Um, for instance, my grandma, she lived till she was 83, and she did smoke. So, I've got some healthy blood there. And shout out to the Marys and the Pavolcos and the Koenigs and the Dykes. I'm a quarter Dyke, so yeah. That's the year. All right, what's up next? So, sports nutrition. Why it is critical to drink salt. Okay, now it's been said salt's bad for you, it causes heart disease, it causes this and that. Now, yes, true, it can if you have 3,000 milligrams of salt in an ounce of water every day. You know what I mean? If you are a cyclist, if you are a runner, if you are doing any sport prolonged more than an hour, you better have a nutrition plan, all right? It's critical, all right? I swear. See people cramping, see people drinking only water, and I'm like, what are you doing? Okay? It's common knowledge, I feel like, at this point, that you should have 30 to 90 grams of carbohydrates per hour in endurance training. You should have 1% roughly sodium in your beverage per hour. You should also have a certain amount of potassium, magnesium, right? These are our electrolytes. So that's essential. Don't sleep on the sodium. All right, folks? Jeez. Get yourself some Gatorade Endurance Formula. Get yourself some Liquid IV. Shoot, scoop salt into your water bottle if you need to. You gotta get that. Hypovolemic, hypernatremia, hypervolemic, hyponatremia are very real conditions. Okay, so you guys know, right? We got cells. We got cell bursting. We got cell shrinking. Now, one of these happens if you have too much salt. One of these happens if you don't have enough salt. And so we want to keep the consistency of our red blood cells circular so that we're able to deliver oxygen to our blood, to our brain. So we don't want to have neurological symptoms and we don't want to have cramping. Okay? Okay. I do digress. All right, next topic. The 4 motivations of service. All right, what a great topic. So I'm reading currently this book by Jay Shetty, Think Like a Monk. It's a great book. I would recommend it if you have the funds. If not, just follow him on Instagram or whatever. But to quote his book, Hindu philosopher Bhagavatada Thakura describes the 4 fundamental motivations. Fear. Tharoka describes this as being driven by sickness, poverty, fear of hell, or fear of death. All right, that's number 1. Number 2, desire. Seeking personal gratification through success, wealth, and pleasure. Duty. Motivated by gratitude, responsibility, and the desire to do the right thing. Love, compelled by care for others and the urge to love them. Now, I don't know what your motivation is to serve or anything like that, but I will say that if you're motivated by love, love conquers all things. Love is patient, love is kind, it does not boast, right? For me personally, I teach not because I love the money, but because I love the service. I love being in it for the duty to, create a better world for our future generation, to teach the future, to inspire them to learn, to make learning fun. I'm not always successful at it. I'm actually very newbie at it. So, take everything I say with a grain of salt and water, preferably 1% salt. So yeah, Essentially, that is the podcast. Yeah. Stay merry, stay hungry, stay exercising, stay cheery. And if you need any motivation, please uh, drop a like or message me on any social media platform. Have a great day. Bye.